This is an Audio Wool original.
It is Frightday. I'm your host, Byron, and dusted myself off from the Woodstock of ufology, a long weekend. And
many more clothes than the Woodstock of...
Excuse me?
Woodstock. People were wearing way more clothes there.
Yeah, there were some characters.
There were some characters. Still more clothes.
Tonight we're going to be reviewing After Contact, the 2025 Contact in the Desert. The X one, the 10th, huh?
No, ours was the 11th.
I don't know, it's just old merch I saw.
It is.
Wonderful.
It is.
To talk about it with me, I've got my friend, Kelly.
Hello.
And who's next to her?
Yeah,
look at this fucking guy.
It's like going places with your kids. Nobody even cares about seeing you anymore.
Yeah, sorry. I should just adjust the camera
It's
back
fine.
to
You
just
probably
Sam.
should. It's fine.
It's Sam. We had a Golding hoot.
Oh, to put it mildly.
It was really...
Wait, that didn't sound good.
No, it was just like, it's so much to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where we even want to start. Like, I started a gonzo notebook of travel details, but it was actually relatively mild on our way down. Like,
Did you show people your notebook? Because that's the coolest notebook.
Oh,
It is.
The reporter's notebook.
News reporter notebook?
Yeah, so...
Classic, yeah.
I had a weird epiphany today that kind of ties to the way we both interacted at the conference.
Okay.
I'm a researcher and you're a reporter.
Yeah, I think that, what's the difference? Movie and film style difference?
Well, I think for me the big difference is like where you get your dopamine hits.
Okay. Yeah. I like observing.
Yeah.
And I like
I want to be in the mix. I want to be reading all of it. I want to be like, I don't want people to rely on me for like the truth, but I want to be gathering info.
Yeah.
And get info out there. Yeah.
Well,
you don't care so much about the people.
Turns out I don't.
Byron hid, which was weird. I expected my husband to hide.
Well, you can't say that I hid when I went to bed at 11:45.
One night you went to bed at 11:45.
And the other time was a little bit before 11, I think.
It was a little bit before 10.
I don't think that's
true.
True.
You may be a reporter and Kelly may be a researcher, but I'm absolutely a tourist.
I find that hard to believe, Sam. You made a lot of high-level friends, and they give you high-level secrets.
I've never seen my husband as social as he was a Contact in the Desert. I'm still processing what to do with it. I actually spent most of my therapy meeting this week trying to process that reality.
Maybe he should leave you for the community.
I don't know. I'm a little worried.
Like it might fill the void.
Oh, poor Byron. Do you see your big fat head, Sam?
No, his head's totally fine. I'm adjusting my body. The studio, we've been long needing a little bit of a readjustment of these cameras.
I can hide behind there.
And of course, this is a show that you can watch the video version of at youtube.com/Frightday. I don't know where to begin. Day one?
Day one. So it was miraculous. We flew at a normal time out of Missoula, which never happens. We got there late.
Everybody was
in
very
bed.
Loudly in an Uber.
Did I?
You were fine. I was just kidding.
I don't even remember being loud in the Uber.
It was the Cheetos that were off-putting in the Uber.
Oh,
I didn't have Cheetos.
Yeah, they were wiping them on the nice man's Tesla.
Side note. First time I've ridden into second time I've ridden into Tesla.
You didn't know how to open the doors, did you?
Well, I had no idea. It's very weird.
Well, it's kind of...
I figured it out.
Yeah.
The other side note is Byron and I will frequently find ourselves on opposite sides of some definitive point. And the definitive point was raised by Byron that one is not supposed to eat in an Uber. And I was like, okay, this is like, Byron, this is one of your like weird, like social anxiety hangups. Like there's no way that that's true. Everybody eats in their car. That's completely insane. And I like doubled down pretty hard.
Yeah, you shut me down. Yeah.
And then I like started, when we were sitting in the car on the ride, I was like doing some Reddit diving.
Preparatory to eating your breakfast in the
No,
car.
I did not eat anything in the car.
She's asking him to pull over at like a Egg McMuffin joint.
9 different Reddit threads dedicated entirely to the topic of how absolutely not okay it is to eat in an Uber.
Yeah.
So it turns out I'm the Martian.
Oh, that's
Well,
okay.
a lot of rules
in this case
aren't just other people's neuroses. They're actually rules.
Well, that's true sometimes, but Byron and I have a lot of neuroses, so sometimes it's like a little weird to figure out whether they're actually rules or not. This one turns out to be a very, very hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
So if there is anyone out there, doubtful there is, but if there's anybody out there like me who is an alien and thought that it was more of a flexible thing and probably most people didn't mind, that is wrong.
Don't do
and
it.
You should not eat in an Uber.
Renaissance Esmeralda.
Yeah, it was really fun. I know I had heard that it was, I don't know, kind of like a rundown resort. I thought it was great.
Oh, the venue was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was perfect because there was enough space that, I mean, let's say it was perfect for the speakers because there was enough space that I couldn't like completely creepily stalk them all the time.
I mean, you tried.
I did try
You
it
did your
a few
darn
times.
best, yeah.
But it was also small enough that it felt very cozy and personal. And people were really willing to interact, and everybody, I mean, it was very much, it had been played up pretty heavily by the people we talked to who had been there before.
Yeah.
And it didn't disappoint in my mind. It was very much a cordial atmosphere, lots of discussion and gathering. Although one of our conversations on the last night was pretty funny. Nick Pope, who turns out is about 4'3". Not really, but
Maybe he's a gray? Is
He's
that
like
possible?
eye to eye with me.
Gray in a human suit?
Interesting if true.
That's his favorite quote. He was talking to me, and I said something about like, man, you must be exhausted. This probably gets really old and he very genuinely said, well, the organizers really like us to socialize with everyone.
I mean, and maybe we'll talk about the banquet that we went to.
The banquet was hilarious.
We kind of rolled our dice, and it may have not been the best. But
I mean, I had a really good conversation with somebody at the banquet.
Yeah, we'll get to
yes.
that.
Well, I think the salient point there is it was nice to learn that all the speakers and the guests were contractually obligated to talk to us weirdos.
Right. I did like that.
I love that.
But most of them did a good job of at least it seeming like they wanted to be talking
Sure, I think that's probably true.
at varying levels, right?
Nice room, big pool. Day one, you spotted someone, and we had a little bit of a tiff about that.
Oh, yeah.
too.
So you won the Uber. Mm-hmm. I won the Henry.
We got a tie because you said it was Henry Zabrowski.
I
at the
did
last
say it was
podcast.
his wife, and it wasn't
And
his
I-
wife. It was Amber.
Amber Nelson. From
Yeah.
The Brighter
So,
Side. Yeah.
we were up on whatever
Fifth
floor
floor.
we were on.
Yeah.
We were looking down, and I just see these people walking by from the pool towards the bar lobby bar. I'm like, that's the last podcast, folks.
Yeah.
Byron. No, it isn't.
That's exactly how it sounds.
Whoa, that was uncanny. Byron's coming through 2 mics over here.
It's weird. It's
Yeah,
happened
I mean, I was
sometimes.
mostly right. It was Ed and it was Henry. It just wasn't.
All right. You
Natalie.
were pretty close.
But that was kind of fun. That was our day. Like, oh, hey, here's last podcast. Just hanging here at the bar, and everybody's chilling, and no one's being a jerk. No one's like mobbing them, and that
It's
was
like
kind of the
Stanley
story.
a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
You're like, holy shit.
It was, except I would say much more than the Stanley, people interacted. And this was the part that I don't think you probably cared as much about, but you missed out on for sure.
Probably, yeah.
The hours we spent in that little lobby and like in the area right outside the lobby with,
Those
chaise
tables and the
lounges and
fire,
tables and
yeah.
stuff. We sat and had amazing conversations. And this was kind of the overarching amazing part for me, which was something that Ron and I talked about in our interview right before we
Yeah.
went down. But there were clearly people who believed very different things from me.
Oh, I
there
guess
were
I should
even
point out
more
this fun
people.
Hat. This is a joke.
Oh, yeah, it is a good hat.
It's not real.
I mean, it is real.
I
It's like I could
didn't-
touch it.
I didn't
It's
come
real.
back red pilled though.
Well, I mean, it was, but that's the whole point. It wasn't about red pilling. Like there were people we talked to who were like very like Kelly friendly lefties. There were people we talked to who I know would take a bullet for Trump.
and then there's Guru Matthew, of course.
And there's Guru Matthew.
Yeah.
Guru Matthew. But
Who's a guru?
the thing is, and I'm sure there were exceptions, but for the most part, all of the people I spoke with, the attendees, the speakers.
It's just Guru Matthew music.
Oh,
I don't know.
that's Guru Matthew music
No,
now?
it's not.
Oh, okay.
That's ours.
Don't give that to him. That's
I'm
ours.
not,
yeah. they weren't assholes to each other. It's like the whole thing we talk about where I wish people could like, actually have dialogue with one another and not go in trying to prove that they're more right. That was like how every conversation felt. And it was really, really nice because for the first time in my like recent adult life, I sat down and was like having chit chats with people that I know.
Certainly politically not.
Oh my God. And like even about some topics that normally would be like huge hot buttons for me. And instead I just felt this like incredible, wow, I'm really curious about why you think that. And it was like the way I should be always. It was really nice.
Why was I having an opposite reaction? Like
That's so weird.
It is weird because like I
think it's because you missed all of those. I really do.
Maybe that's it. But like, me, I'm fairly like willing to listen to the other side, especially in my alternative.
I think that's it.
More journalistic, like, because I'm well experienced with conspiracy theory.
But you live in that. You're constantly, you wake up to Ben Shapiro every morning.
I do like to.
Which I think if we just erased
he just
everything
takes
else.
longer and longer to get his shit and get out every morning.
Yeah.
That single component of your life could trace to a lot of breaking.
Yeah, maybe.
I think we need to get you an alarm clock with like some joy-inducing noises.
I just gotta know what those ding-dongs are talking about,
Well, and I don't, but I really think that's part of the thing. Like, I've got more of a tolerance for it in practice, not in theory. In theory, I always go 0 to 60, but in practice, I was like, oh, and they weren't assholes to me. They weren't like, you fucking sheep.
I think it's a covert thing that makes me more uncomfortable. Is that,
what do you mean?
Also
in the open, flying the flag.
Yeah, like that some people could be hooked into wrong thinking.
Which is why we have to be there.
Well, of course, yeah. That's kind of why our presence on Frightday in general has been shifting a little bit more explicit.
I was also thinking about this, though. Be great if you had a podcast talking about this stuff with two people, one from each side, and then you could get everybody to listen to it, and then you could no.
We just talked about that on Louder with Crowder because
okay, maybe I need to come and argue with you.
The Proud Boys was trying to do that.
With who though? Who was the person? Like, was he trying to do it with like AOC?
Like Candace Owens and Sam Cedar or something like that. This is like years ago, so maybe like 10 years ago.
I don't know. I'm kind of about the bridge now. Feeling like a bridge builder.
I think I go, oh, it's a Gavin McInnes podcast. I don't fucking care who he's talking to. I don't need that.
Yeah,
I know what he's about.
Okay, but see, that's the way I feel most of the time too. And I'm telling you, in this space, I was like, wow, like these really are other humans. And like, I'm just sitting down and talking and finding out like, okay, it's not just arbitrary that they have different theories than I do. Like actually being calm enough to get to the root of that, right? Rather than seeing red so much that I can't even care. That was a really nice experience.
So you know what maybe set me up? And listen, I had a really good time, and I did have a relatively open mind throughout. But
I mean,
it made it pretty hard. What made it really hard was our first panel being Whitley Strieber.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on just a second though. But like Whitley to me is totally neutral territory. If we're talking about this red pill,
we don't need to keep talking about.
Okay, I thought that's what you're talking about.
I'm just
specifically.
saying. In general, the believability, and there's part of this like tone that was set with him that I don't think I was able to really shake. Like, so
it's a generational thing that I find really interesting. Like our parents' generation, tons of them read,
content
like communion and know it. And it's funny, like my mom thinks 95% of what I talk about on the show is like certifiably insane, and she's constantly worried about me. She believes every word of Whitley's story.
First book.
No. In fact, I brought it up with her.
Books, right?
I brought it up with her. I said, well, Mom, you believed like his original stuff. She goes, no, I've heard about it. And she goes, doesn't he say that like he kind of collaborates with his wife still and she's dead? I'm like, yep.
Well, but he talks about that on I heard before I quit listening to Coast, he talked about that.
I meant duration of time. It wasn't like just that original point. Like she's followed him enough to know the more recent stuff, and she, like literally believes every word. So there's some interesting generational bridge there, and I think there's still a lot to learn from Whitley.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that this is a seminal thing for you, especially
it is seminal.
Even like seeing your own experience through the window, you know,
God,
which is a big part of I think one of his sightings. Is that right?
Well, it's when it
He
all
also talks
started
about
for
getting
him.
raped by an alien.
Well, I
too,
mean,
so.
that was basically like the initial thing that happened. That was like his first experience.
Okay.
So, but it was, they were coming in he was at his cabin in upstate New York, and they were coming in through, he could see them at the windows. So that visual has been a thing to him.
But then there was some other sightings, right?
Oh, he's been experiencing it forever. And so I'm hesitant to believe like 100% of what anybody says. And I know to you guys sitting there and listening to Whitley's story, it's really weird. I took copious notes at Whitley's
I
speech.
recorded the whole thing.
Well,
yeah.
I've got wrote down things that seemed important to me. And what's interesting is all of the stuff we're hearing now, which I had an immediate, very visceral negative reaction to when people started talking about psionics and whatever. But as I, again, try to step back and go, okay, well, what if this is true? And what is the source of this? And why are people saying this? There are some interesting connection points that certainly don't validate everything that Whitley's saying. But if I look at it through that lens, it feels less untethered than it probably does to you guys. I also think when you have that cognitive dissonance experience of something that crazy happening to you, who knows what other impacts it has on the way you think about things or the way you experience things. I mean, the human brain's weird.
I think his contact stories are the most plausible out of what he was talking about. And
totally.
I don't think that they happened for a second.
Oh, you don't believe any of it?
Absolutely not.
Interesting, because I'm more open to the idea of maybe one encounter or...
Now you sound like Ron.
Really? Oh, no. I haven't listened to Ron's podcast.
Well, Ron's whole thing, and he certainly doesn't say he doesn't believe Whitley, but just in general, what Ron says is, the people who had one experience, like he uses Travis Walton as an example, and it was this one random thing that happened, and their entire life they've stuck to the exact same story, and it wasn't like 100 things after that happened. It's easier for him to believe.
It's basically the plot of the film The Hangover,
Well,
so
but
what the hell happened?
It's kind of, and then a bunch of guys trying to find him.
And Mike Tyson.
So, but his theory that that's more believable. And on the one hand, I do understand that, but also I've read enough of these stories and listened to enough hours of people talking. And I do think of all of the things that I am not good at, I'm pretty good with having an intuition of not whether a story is true or not, but whether a person telling it thinks it's true or not.
Okay.
And
that doesn't help me much, though.
No, but it does help. It does help from a certain point, because it's like that's the first gate you have to get through, right? There's still plenty of gates beyond that, but it's the first gate of, could it be true? Well, if it could be true, at first you have to establish, is this person lying to you? If the person isn't lying to you, then it's worth taking to the next step. And I think that's where
thinking like a journalist, Kelly.
I think that's where we lose you.
Interesting.
Well, that's just like the logic problem books that I studied to try to go to law school when I thought that was a good idea. I don't know. There's a lot of people who have had experiences that seem to line up. And I think about Montauk. I think a ton of shit happened to those people. I don't think it's what they're telling us, but I don't think it's because they're trying to lie. But I don't think it was just one thing that happened to them. I think that our government does some really horrific, disgusting, awful things. And MK Ultra as a source point of providing validity for a lot of what people experience. Oh,
I don't want to bounce right back into politics, but I feel like the past few months we've realized that maybe the government agencies aren't really doing anything above and beyond what they normally do.
Oh, that is not what I've taken from the last few months at all.
Really?
I've taken the exact opposite.
I don't know.
The government...
I mean, the FBI, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel getting in...
I don't think the FBI... The FBI is not what I'm talking about when I say the government.
Black projects.
Well, no, I'm talking about CIA, NSA, and then a bunch of other ones that exist peripherally that, we don't necessarily talk about or even recognize.
I mean, speaking of underground bases and things like that, I was last men standing at the bar with a gentleman who steered the conversation abruptly from deep underground bases to eugenics.
Oh.
So
okay, Sam, I do think...
Right.
Sam, can you give some context, though? Because you're sounding pretty negative,
Explain
Nelly.
what eugenics is.
So this was very much an outlier in the week. It was jarringly outside of what I've been experiencing. We were talking about he was talking about, well, I don't know, we got into, he was hammered, and I was drinking club soda, and I think people think I'm hammered too, and it's a gin and tonic,
He
but it's not.
unquestionably had a traumatic brain injury. Just so you
I
know.
think a lot of these people have.
So-
but
Actually, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Talking about, and I was like, yeah, you know, he was talking about Project Paperclip, and I was like, yeah, you know, like, I think it's bullshit that those Nazis got a pass just because they knew how to make rockets, like, for all the things they did. And he's like, yeah, don't get me wrong, like, I don't like the Nazis. And I was like, oh, shit.
That's not a good
son of
sentence.
not setting us up well.
And he's like, but, you know, eugenics. And I was like, oh.
And you're like, my drink is
right.
Wait, did he
empty.
actually
Time
use
to
that
go.
word?
Yes, he did.
Okay, because that seemed like a big word for him.
Oh, kind of.
Well, it's obviously, I don't know. Anyway,
Back to Whitley, maybe.
But that was literally.
I mean, that seems like an outlier. Yeah.
it very much was.
That's the
But it
only thing that was
hilarious.
And Whitley is a very lovable old man who I think has had a lot of crazy ass experiences. I do not think for a second that he's lying to us.
Okay.
I don't think that there is any ill intention, and I'm sure I believe more of his story than you do.
Yeah,
but
I think it was during the Q&A or when things were wrapping up. There was kind of a very ferocious pace that he was like trying to move things forward, and there was a lot of things that kind of felt a little bit more unhinged inside of that. Like,
oh, interesting.
like when he was talking to that lady who was giving that big speech about how she had lost her husband and she had found his book around the same time. Dude, he had like a kind of like a wild, non-empathetic response to that, and then started like kind of fastly explaining something about we talked about the implant that moves, but then there's something about his eyes, a slit in his eyes opening up and him being able to read words.
Okay, and somehow I missed that
the eye
entirely.
slits.
I'll have to pull out the recorder.
I heard the part about where he definitely was not being super empathetic, but I also, what is he, 80?
Yeah.
80 something. I very much experience him the way I experience lots of older people, where it's almost like a form of ADD, where like in order to be empathetic, it takes like this focus level, and as soon as their brain starts drifting, like I even see my parents do this from time to time, like they aren't intentionally being assholes. It's just like as soon as their brain is on to something else,
yeah,
they can come across as assholes.
Well, and then we're watching Ring camera footage from inside of his house in which he has 2 different subscriptions to like different Ring things.
Yeah, like a ring and then
like a Brinks home
Okay, see, that seems smart to me.
Seems like the behavior of a potentially mentally ill
unbalanced person.
Which,
Right, and I'm not denying that is a possibility. I'm just saying.
There was orb talk, which was clearly dust after he sat down, or an AC unit turned on.
Okay, I totally disagree with that.
And that's fine.
I totally, yeah.
Because it is unexplainable. I don't have an answer to that.
It could be something. It could be nothing.
That's
what I'm saying.
So this is what kind of set the tone for me. And I was, again, trying to be as open as possible. But I was like, oh, man, if we're going to be surrounded by, like, this level of potentially...
And so at that point, Byron decided he was going to hide in his room.
That's not true. What happened next? We started interviewing some fun people.
Well, I agree with you about that. Be like, you'll notice that like, I was like, whoa. And I just kind of hung the rest of the time and didn't go to a lot of other presentations or anything. Just met people and visited.
You did. Yeah, because Kelly and I went to the USO one after that.
That one was really cool. The panels were interesting, just the different perspectives you got. And going in, Sam and I had, we've read a bunch of this stuff anyway, but in the last few months, Sam was like listening to 2 audiobooks a week, like trying to get really up to speed.
It's like reading, except in your ears and lazy.
Oh, it's true. Yeah. That's true.
You can use your eyes for other things.
And Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the people that we saw on the speaking lineup even, or the presentations and workshops, run the gamut.
Yeah.
Like we've got... On the one hand, like Richard Dolan, Nick Pope, who do very good, like well-founded research, not crazy.
Pope does have a documentary movie thing about the pandemic and...
Okay, no. See, this is what I mean, though. You have to unplug from that piece. You cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. But on the opposite side, we've got stuff that, I haven't even stretched my brain into yet.
One of the big themes throughout was psionics, because like Skywatch and
no, stop. Skywatcher, very different things.
I thought Mitch is a Skywatch.
Mitch is a Skywatch. That has nothing to do with psionics.
Skywatcher. So psionics is just like kind of the new buzzword for like the woo.
Yeah.
Okay, but see, don't be so dismissive.
Well, I used to like
Totally
the
dismissed.
the CE5 stuff.
I don't like the CE5 stuff.
What's
because
his name? The
Greer.
ER doctor.
Greer.
Stephen Greer.
Not
yeah.
a fan. Not a fan. He's done some great things for gathering like records of people who've experienced things. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
In terms of his adamance about what's going on and knowing exactly what's going on, I just get really turned off to that. But the psionics thing, the fact that I had such a visceral negative reaction to it was the reason that I really took a step back and like thought about it a lot and have looked into it more and given it. I'm not saying it's real. I'm saying it definitely deserves some consideration.
I don't think we interviewed anyone that was on that side, though.
I avoided that shit like the plague.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we did. We did interview people who are at least...
Marc D'Antonio wasn't, like...
He would not phrase it as psionics, no, but I think that is something he is certainly... Gary Nolan, all like the scientists that are involved in that end of things are certainly open to, for the most part, open to that from a Skywatcher standpoint, not a CE5 standpoint.
So one of our first interviews was with Marc D'Antonio. Very excited to be releasing all of these eventually. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how. We haven't figured out how we're going to do it quite yet, but...
Yeah.
He's an actual astronomer.
And a fascinating astronomer. And we actually connected over the fact that he's really excited about trying to get younger people enthused about astronomy. Not woo, but like
the stars.
Literally like studying the stars. And I thought that was very fun. He's very authentic, wonderful, nerdy scientist type, really fun to talk to.
Loves shirts.
He came in with a shirt covered in trigonometric equations. I don't know if Byron got it, but I saw it. Flippin' excited.
I was too busy trying to make sure all the audio and video looked good, but
oh my God, I was excited.
Really professional guy.
And he did an excellent job. I thought one of the things I really liked about Marc was he did a really good job of separating the science that he does and his studies from some of his personal beliefs about UAP and contact and that stuff. I think that he did a not like actual verbal delineation, but kind of not entwining the two to try to explain hard science with some of his beliefs about UFOs.
Yeah, it was really nice because Kelly was able to pull some personal stories out of him that I don't know if anyone else has really focused on.
Yeah, I'm not sure either because I've mostly studied, obviously, his research and he's involved in some really cool academia linked work that's going on right now. And I've talked about this a lot, the Soul Foundation and the Galileo project. A lot of legitimate researchers dedicating their time and energy to these topics, which is great. Mm-hmm. But he talked about a pretty interesting experience he had. I'll leave it for the interview because I don't want to ruin it, but it was really fascinating to listen
transformation.
To. Yeah.
It was pretty, intensely described. It's really
and again, I
story.
think it's interesting because to a certain degree, there's a lot of this that doesn't make sense until it happens to someone, it seems. So just really, waiting for something to happen to one of you. Really.
Okay.
Oh, hey, that makes three of us.
Really hoping.
I think Sam's a I want to believe guy.
Yeah, I'd like to believe. I have to reconcile like how much I love this stuff with the degree to which I actually believe in it.
You don't have to believe in it. You just have to believe in the possibility.
And me letting it color my views of other people, like I have to deal with that. So this trip, I was like, how do I, like if I had to describe my, connection to this and my, I guess, how I am and relate to this, it's kind of like a mythologist. Like mythologists, you study the beliefs of other people and their sincerely held beliefs, like whatever you think about them, they're sincerely held beliefs, like regardless of their, provability or disprovability by science or anything else. And it's real to the people who believe it. So I think I kind of take that effect, like that, or that approach. Like this is super interesting to me and I like meeting these people. Like this is not for me, a lot of it in terms of like belief, but I love it. Like I love the stories. I love like the science when there is science, and the people. Like this weekend really just were amazing. Like just really genuinely fantastic people, and I had a great time. I had a great time meeting them. So that's, I guess, yeah. I don't know. That's a long answer.
Okay, I have a question then. Coming out of this weekend, what is one topic that you want to learn more about, Sam?
I always like the things where there's a thing. Like, I would like to learn more about Roswell, and I don't think we ever will.
Recovered crash.
Yeah, recovered crash stuff.
Oh, like people who have actually like recovered a crash.
Yeah, and I would like to learn.
Interesting.
And I would like to learn more about. I don't know. That's kind of like the nuts and bolts. Like the material is kind
Like
of
the
like
actual
what I love.
things.
And I think honestly,
Touching the
part of
things.
that, maybe that part of that is just because that's a lot easier to wrap your head around, like to wrap in your
Something
concept
physical.
of the universe.
I think it's been kind of exploited though, that idea, like recovered crash stuff from Roswell.
Yeah.
Like scraps. That's makes sense. Like if that happened, I think that's interesting. But then it's turned into like the deep underground military base thing where people are reconstructing and flying UFOs, and there's like massive hangars, and like to me, I think that's
a leap.
Yeah.
Well, it's a leap, but like, and again, I'm not saying you guys should just buy into this, but the number of people and the pieces of corroborating evidence that go to that being a possibility certainly seems enough to like be curious to learn more.
Sure.
Like, I can't say that, yes, I'm certain that's happening, but the number of people with incredibly valid credentials and totally normal psychology who have spoken about that, literally thousands of people. Mm-hmm. And it seems more illogical that they're all making it up than to believe that there's something to it.
But I mean, then, like the second panel we did was about deep underground military, or no, it wasn't about USOs. USOs, yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's something about that felt, and I said it in the moment I shouldn't have because I was supposed to be locked in.
No, you failed. Can we just say you failed?
Oh, right. I got a C minus.
I don't think you had a passing grade.
Okay, well, I felt like it was a goalpost moving a little bit.
What do you mean?
Well, like for years we've been like, oh, UFOs are in the sky. We just don't have the technology.
What's the goal, do you think?
The goalpost is proving that UFOs exist. And we were unable to do that even with the introduction of cameras in everyone's hands.
Well, so what constitutes proof to you?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess there are YouTube videos every day.
I will know it when I see it.
Right. Because I don't think Dolan's goal is to... and it was based on the fact that Dolan just wrote this big book. That's why they had that panel.
Yeah.
And I don't think Dolan's goal is to prove anything. Like, in fact, he speaks about that pretty openly in his interviews.
I think for the longest time we've been like, they're coming from the sky. And we've seemed to have disproven that like being not the main way that they are coming. We've moved to the sea.
Oh, no, I think it's both. What I'm hearing everybody say is that it's both.
Okay.
And the ocean stuff actually goes way, way back. I mean, I've heard about... I talked about that a few years ago.
Or what?
Well, no, I mean people...
we've done USO episodes.
Right, and I think it's just... what Dolan has done, which is really helpful, is literally go through archival records to try and find times where people have reported them. He's certainly not saying like, yep, this is exactly what happened, but
I'm just saying we've shifted our focus to something that is like almost irrationally unmanageable.
You know what that sounds like to me? Sounds a little bit like during COVID.
Okay.
When first recommendations came out.
It's not even close.
And then as the science was gathered and more data was included, those recommendations shifted because the knowledge base shifted. Unless your goal is to keep people on a specific string and you've already decided the outcome, it should be meandering as evidence builds.
I don't think that's an apt analogy, but
I would be interested to hear if any of our listeners found that to be a decent analogy.
Agree. But all I'm saying is like it's fairly impossible for us to explore the entire ocean bed.
Right, but you're looking at it from like an immediately I'm trying to prove it false and that they're trying to prove it true. And I think that while there are certainly people out there that's what their MO is,
yeah.
I genuinely think, and this was the overall theme of the whole weekend, that I would say applied to 98% of the people I saw and talked to. It's just, I'm curious to learn more. And I think the more you go in without like a desired outcome, like for all I know, the outcome could be that there's this weird little part in our brains that we haven't figured out yet. That is like an archetypal Jungian thing that literally it triggers something and makes us think we're seeing something. I don't fucking know. It could be something like that.
I'm more in that.
But it also could be that there have, for as long as we've been around, been things that have either lived here at the same time or been visiting. Like, it could be anything. I think it's fascinating to explore, but I think what we were listening to on that panel were people who are gathering information and exploring.
Sure.
I'm just
curious about where they're going to go next once they discover that the ocean floor does not have bases on it.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a long time before any of that could be proven anyway. But
hey, have you guys heard of podcasts?
Yeah, yeah.
There were some of those.
I was really.
There were? Were there people that make them?
Yeah. Some really cool folks doing podcasts.
Yeah, I agree.
Frightday was there.
No live podcast. We did not.
No live podcast.
No.
That seems like it would be hard, but
it's a little cheesy. We don't really do that type of.
Katie and Jason from UAP
kidding.
Studies, who, in addition to being just lovely people that we had a chance to hang out with quite a bit, have a great podcast. They did a live recorded podcast with Tom Jane from The Punisher. And Hung. And
I don't think that was what
Expanse.
Tom Jane was leading with this weekend, you guys.
With Hung?
With being from The Punisher or
just
Hung.
If anybody, yeah.
I mean, I like Hung. It's a good show. Post-Weeds era show,
Did a great job. The fire alarm went off in the middle of the podcast. So
I wouldn't know.
As we filtered out, I kind of poked my head out of the door of the recording room to see what was going on. And there's Byron sitting in the middle of the atrium with his recorder up, just recording the chaos.
Well, yeah, clearly.
Of the fire
See,
alarm.
and this is
we don't know if
why-
it's an active shooter or it's just a horrible alarm.
Like, this is why, Byron, you have a superpower, but you need to acknowledge that because of that superpower, you can't jump to any conclusions about what the rest of humanity is thinking based on what's going on in your brain because it's not a normal process that your brain goes through.
Sometimes I think about, you like the film Civil War, right?
Oh, I love the film Civil
I'm kind of like the girl who gets everyone killed because I'm trying to get the shot. Like, that's...
Yeah, I think you are.
I mean, I'm a little bit like Dunce, let's be real.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
But also, you need to know that remarkability eliminates drawing connections to, like, larger feelings of humanity.
Maybe I'm just more interested in what's right in front of me. Maybe that's it.
Oh, God. I didn't even literally know that there was a fire alarm that went off.
Yeah, it started going off. I don't know what it was because it was more than a fire alarm.
It was terrible.
Like
it had a recorded
evacuation.
voice, like and it was bizarre because we were sitting in this room. It was like a cool space
I bet I could
that they were recording the
It sounded a little bit
in.
like what I would imagine a nuclear weapon.
It was not fucking around.
No.
And everyone's just kind of sitting there, like, looking back and forth. So I got up and, like, poked my head out, and that's when I saw Byron. And, like, it's just kind of chaos, but nobody's really urgently leaving. So I went back into the podcast, and I was like, yeah, no, it looks like no one's going anywhere.
I guess no one's going anywhere.
They just kept rolling, and then eventually everybody did leave. We found out that Kelly had slept through it because no one was sleeping at all. Like, at night, Kelly had slept through it up in the room.
So
the
strange.
Alarm, which is bizarre.
Well, Byron came in, and I heard Byron yelling, and I'm like...
I was yelling?
You literally came in the room, and you yelled, and I'm
probably
like...
said, you slept through that?
And I was sleeping underneath the blanket because it was really light out, and so I just pulled the sheet over my head and was just sleeping. And I was like, yes, I'm sleeping. Why? And apparently I missed the alarm.
Yeah, good times.
See, it wasn't even that loud.
Well, it wasn't loud until the siren started up again. We'll skip forward.
See?
It's robot voice.
I mean, that's not that loud either.
Oh, it sounded like the goddamn Purge.
It really... I kind of wonder if it wasn't playing up in the rooms.
It had to be because it's a full evacuation.
I don't think they localize.
Or maybe
fire
they wanted
alarms
people
within
to
the building.
stay in their rooms rather than come out.
It said leave and don't use the elevators.
Yes, they were very clear.
Okay, I'm glad I didn't get that because I never found the stairs.
The robot was so clear about that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that didn't happen.
Well, that's good. I'm trying to think of... Sam, you were talking about some folks we met.
Oh, yeah. In podcasting especially, it's hilarious because there are definitely people who... And I'm not saying that they weren't at this event, but people who, like, take podcasting very seriously and believe that everyone else should take them seriously because they're podcasters. which I find hilarious because, podcasting, there are a few of them.
There's a couple. There's a handful of them.
There's a
None
handful.
of them are as good as Frightday.
Okay,
Well,
he
I don't
is
know.
way hotter than
But,
I ever am. I don't know. I don't know if that's happening in your ears, but he is
in volume.
Yeah,
I
like
don't think so.
super hot.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's
Stop
okay.
yelling, Sam.
Stop yelling, Sam.
But one of just a really, really fantastic person and great podcaster who we spent some time with was Martin Willis from podcast UFO.
Really awesome guy.
Who's been doing it since 2011. Has a
think I
really
know
neat
him.
audience. Just a super nice guy and very much engaged in the community and kind of like knew everybody and has interviewed everybody. So he was a great resource, but also more importantly, just a really generally cool person to hang out with.
Yep.
Yeah, then there were a bunch of other podcasts as well.
I mean, everyone was pretty cool.
I thought so.
Chris
Yep.
Ramsey from Area 52. I didn't talk to him much, but he's a magician.
nice,
Seemed
yeah.
like a nice guy. He
He
was.
also had a deck of cards out.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yep. Yeah, like Chris actually was one of my favorite that I talked to. We also just like literally everybody in this universe. I had this horrible experience when we were flying home. Like, okay, who am I going to tell about all these amazing people that I got to meet that's going to understand who they are? And I'm like, there's no one except my
one.
dad. My dad kind of does.
Kind of.
Other than that, there is no one. It's very isolating.
That was kind of one of the cool things about it, though, is you realize that there is such this like massive,
Oh, it's huge.
like really engaged
Yep.
community.
So we did meet Jeremy Corbell.
Yeah, surprise guest Jeremy Corbell. Wonder if I'll throw up the
he-
picture on the screen now.
I don't know if I've ever encountered somebody so exactly what I anticipated them to be.
Yeah, nailed it.
Very nice. I think much because of, for anybody that follows the story, the most recent hearing did not go well for Mr. Corbell. He was really upset about the way the most recent hearing went down, I think for good reason. And I have been, this, Byron, a defender of he and George for a long time. I think they're actually doing really important work that is making people feel safer to come out, especially the people whose stories would be most important and most influential.
Yeah, when's Pride Month for that gonna be?
UAP Pride?
Just kidding.
I mean, I don't know, but
People need to be welcomed out of the closet of that, I suppose.
well,
too.
and I think Jeremy and George are helping with that significantly.
All right, well,
but
November?
let me tell you, because of that, he is very
open.
paranoid,
Yeah.
like wildly
yeah.
paranoid. Like I was trying to chat with him, and he was so obviously.
You thought you were a honeypot.
He literally thought that I was with some other group trying to trick him. And I asked him some question about the
Mr.
most
Beast.
recent. I don't think he thought I was Mr. Beast, but I asked him some question about the most recent interview with Matt Brown, who is the gentleman who came out of the Pentagon and wrote Immaculate Constellation. And it's been a huge story, really interesting. And the last comment that Matt made in the interview had something to do with there is a God, which obviously I thought was a personal comment. He made it very clear that this was not like about the story as much as it was what he's taken from the story. And I asked Jeremy about this, and it seems like a pretty like normal question to ask.
Sure. Well,
I was like,
mean,
well,
maybe here.
I was like, you spent a
right?
lot of time with Matt. Like, what do you think he meant by that? And it was like, he's like, everybody's asking that. I don't know what anybody means about that. I don't know what he meant by that. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, Jeremy.
He didn't hurt you, did he?
Oh my God, no. He was
Not
like,
on the outside.
so immediately I got a little bit annoyed, and then I got to thinking, like, oh my gosh, he probably really is dealing with people who are tapping his phone and like weird shit going on.
This
and
was also 2 a.m, and everybody but Sam was hammered.
that is true.
See, it's a superpower, though.
It is, it
sometimes,
really
right?
yeah, see,
is.
that's Sam's superpower. You have like zero survival instinct, self-preservation instinct,
Okay,
absolutely
a
none.
little different, yeah.
Sam doesn't drink, and I have no shame. So like between the three of us, we can do a lot of things.
Sure, that's probably true.
Yeah. No, Jeremy was very nice. And then he had left his backpack and his phone right by me. He came back after a while to grab it. And he's like, did you hack my phone and text my wife? I'm
Wait,
like,
what? Like,
I was like, no.
text
I was like,
my
I was
wife.
kind of kidding.
I was like, I would have no idea how to hack your phone if I wanted to. And
I didn't know you were
no,
married, right?
no,
you?
I did. Of course, I
You
know
knew
he's
he was
married. Of course, I know he's married. He has dogs too. He likes his dogs. That's one of the reasons I've decided he's a good guy.
And you saw those
He likes
on
dogs.
pictures from his phone, right?
Oh, yeah, no, because I
Yeah, you
totally
wanna see
hacked
him?
it.
Yeah.
No, I do think he was being like 50% sarcastic and 50% like really thought there
Pretty
was something weird with
serious
me.
from what I could tell.
But he was hanging out with another friend that we made, the executive producer from the Y-Files, AJ's brother,
Gino.
And
We got an interview with him as well.
we did. He was
great.
He was so much fun. And he's actually, he messaged me and asked us what other conferences we're going to.
Oh.
So, I mean, the people there were very kind. And the only person that my whatever aura I give off didn't seem to gel well with was Mr. Corbell. But I did give he and Gino a hug and got a selfie with them because I felt like maybe if he sees that I'm just like any other weird fan taking a selfie, he'll think less that I'm a CIA agent.
Pricked him with a needle.
I don't know.
as well.
I should have. If I had those type of skills. Yeah, I don't know. Subterfuge and anything involving like ninja-like long game is not a thing I'm capable of.
We have a question
for anybody
from
listening.
the chat. Says, did you guys meet an alien?
No, I mean,
Well,
hard to say. I don't
maybe.
think so. I don't think there was nobody there claiming to be an alien, though I did meet a really nice man with his dog Winnie Pooh, and he said that his roommate is telepathic with animals and that takes the orders from Winnie Pooh before he goes to the grocery store. I thought that was cool. If I could be telepathic with animals.
Who usually ask for
bacon?
Okay, well that's interesting.
Bacon.
same
Usually
thing
lots of
anybody
bacon.
I
asks
was gonna
for.
say it's either dog food or like a meat.
Yeah, it was
right?
bacon. It was bacon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We did maybe see some aliens in the sky though.
Well, this. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about this
maybe
yet.
talk about both of them. I don't know. Maybe because we did a Skywatch with Mark and a guy trying to sell us tactical
Hansen.
gear.
You can't say a guy like Ben Hansen is a very famous individual in
Guy
this
trying
world.
to sell me some
He was
night vision.
Night vision, yeah.
He was a nice guy. His wife was a superhero. She was there with their
Oh.
4 kids
Oh,
and
yeah,
also
yeah.
pregnant,
Yeah.
or 3 kids
Yeah,
and
we
pregnant,
saw
one
them
or
in
the
the
other.
pool.
Oh my God! I just wanted to
Sam
give that
wasn't in
woman
the
a
pool,
hug.
though, right?
No, I don't like pools.
Sam didn't do pools. Byron didn't do people.
Yeah,
I did all of it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You did, yeah. But that was fun.
Yeah.
And I think we have enough for like a little video on that'll be up on YouTube.
It was really fun, and I think you guys probably appreciated that more than our other skywatching experience, simply because Marc D'Antonio would say, "Nope, that's a satellite." Nope.
I actually, I think you'd be surprised to know how much I enjoyed the closing night.
Okay, but not enjoyed from like oh, this is cool. I wonder if we're seeing something, but from a
I feel
oh,
like-
this is like
last night at Jonestown.
I was gonna say this feels like I'm in Jonestown.
right. That's
This
the
is-
reporter again. This is the reporter in you.
Yeah, I recorded like 15 minutes of
Yeah,
it.
you're a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I'm an experiencer,
I
Byron.
do. I loved the whole thing, and I can't wait to go back again. I hated that last night,
Yeah.
like summoning, like Chris Bledsoe, UFO of God, leading this like weird meditation with a bunch of people who want to see things, and also just
Okay, you want to see things.
I do want to see
It's a
things, but I mean,
different
like,
thing.
it's not. I can't emphasize how much I liked all the people I met here. So this, I don't want it to be disparaging towards them. His whole thing that UFOs are
Angels.
tied directly to Christian theology, or like Catholic in particular theology.
Is he Catholic?
It's just
I don't think he's
it's just
Catholic.
Super,
He's not Catholic.
It felt bad. It
Isn't
just
he? I thought
it
he
felt
was.
bad.
I thought he was non-denom.
We're all out there on the lawn, like hundreds of people just looking up, and he's kind of in
we
his
confirm
southern
that.
monotone talking
well, I
about,
confirm
I'm
if
just the
he's a
messenger. I'm
And
just the
I thought he was
messenger. It's
non-denom.
not
I
my
didn't think he
powers.
was Catholic.
But we're summoning him in where there's one
Okay,
up
you're
there.
going hot again, husband. You're going
What's
hot.
his name?
I
He's
was right
doing
up there.
fine.
Chris
Chris
Bledsoe.
Bledsoe, SOE.
I do think that was the only time during the weekend that I felt a grifty vibe. Nothing else felt grifty to me. That did
That
feel a
is
little grifty.
Yeah, I mean,
Every single one of the vendors felt grifty.
Oh, I loved most of the vendors. They were
God.
really nice. I mean, they were literally selling things. So I don't know that counts as a grift when they are literally selling things to you.
I think it's Chris Bledsoe Catholicism here. Let's see.
Like, are we getting grifted when we go and buy burgers? No,
Well,
No,
if
burgers
we're
are
being
amazing.
Tricked into
They're-
thinking they're great.
They're so good.
but they are good.
We already know. Let me think. What was the difference between? I mean, one was like you said, more of a scientific
Yeah, one involved an astronomer
and a tactical ex-police officer.
who actually has done a lot of
FBI.
investigation of this stuff. If you
Yes.
watched any of the stuff, you would know.
Clearly, I know I would.
And
but I
then
don't.
we had a
We
southern.
didn't see anything that night, though, right? Like there was a lot of clouds, and you'll have to watch the video to
Yeah,
to
I
see
mean,
the full.
we saw
thing.
stars, and I thought it was really cool. And actually, Marc D'Antonio, we should definitely put a link up because I think a lot of our listeners would be interested in this. He does live sky tours where he has these really awesome satellites.
They're streams, basically. But, yeah.
Telescopes, not satellites. Jesus. He has these amazing telescopes, and he streams true, like, sky watching, where he will point out like nebulas and stuff. So it's like you have a really, really good telescope, but it's going on live. You can just pull it up the nights that he does it. And this is one of the things he does to try and spread excitement about astronomy for kids.
Because he had that kind of similar situation when he was young, right? Like,
yeah. So I can't wait to do that with our daughters.
I thought it was really cool well, first of all, a lady was, she didn't like that there was a screen being projected of the sky, which I kind of enjoyed that.
Well, they had the night vision camera set up through the camera, showing like what it would see, and then projecting
which was
that
especially
on
helpful
the bus,
because
which otherwise you couldn't see it.
Totally.
We were like 5 miles from Palm Springs, so there's plenty of light pollution, and there were clouds, so that was actually really helpful to see what was
like
up there.
A bright dot. You
Yeah.
know?
It was not a dark sky.
But she's like, "Can you turn it off?"
It literally, I don't know how many people out there watch I Think You Should Leave, but it literally felt like that.
Yeah, it felt like someone was falling through the fucking floor. Is that what you're saying? Like,
yes.
Do any of these fuckers? Yeah, basically, we did when they opened up for a Q&A. It was a little bit,
and she was like at a very odd volume, like speaking twice as loud as everybody else, which I know I do sometimes.
You do,
but like.
But like this was like almost
so weird,
like one step below a yell where it would have been inappropriate.
And
where
she
you're
was
like
obviously angry.
Yeah,
she was not
pissed.
happy.
And then was it her that also asked the question about the moon being fake?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
then had follow-ups about the same subject.
Okay, but did you guys notice how
including the Earth being?
I thought that the grace with which Marc handled that question was pretty impressive.
Oh yeah,
and I think that spoke to exactly what I saw this weekend. Like there was no need to make somebody feel like shit for saying that, but he was not going to like encourage that alternate truth.
I would have made her feel bad.
I know you would have.
And that's my instinct, and I need to check myself.
I know. And it's not that far from mine either. And that's why I'm telling you, like, this was kind of a transformative experience for me. Like, Byron, I think I became less of an asshole at Contact in the Desert.
I wonder why. Let's see.
I don't know. We can do some beta testing this week and see if there's any feedback to support that hypothesis.
Yeah.
Not from Sam. Sam doesn't get a weigh in.
One of the big things about this is like not exciting, but it's a huge conference at this sprawling resort with, a couple thousand people, and it was so well organized.
God.
I mean, Ron and Jamie and Bree and the crew at Contact in the Desert did an amazing job. I mean, I'm sure it was a shit show behind the scenes, but as you know, from an attendee's standpoint, I mean, the audio was good. It was a little sketchy when we were out in the desert at the Skywatching.
Conference rooms are always a little bassy. Like, it's hard. They're not always like...
But the scheduling ran, pretty tightly. The things were where they were supposed to be when they were supposed to be there.
No delay, really.
From the media perspective, like, it was fantastic. Like, we had the media room when we needed it. You know, we were able to get interviews. Like, it was a really well put together... having been to a few various kinds of conferences, this one was really well run.
Mean it. Like, we're not just saying this. We're looking at what the dates are for next year and scheduling, because I think this is definitely something we're going to continue to do. And I know a lot of our listeners, kind of like us, this is a luxury and not something that you can just do at the snap of your fingers. So I would encourage anybody to plan and try and come for a day.
Start saving.
It's totally worth it. And would love to have any of you there. There were a couple podcasters that got to they organized like some events for any of their listeners who would come. Like they'd go and do a lunch with them or something.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which I thought was such a cool idea. And if enough of people go, we could have, a little...
meet up in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a nominal fee, Kelly will sign your merch. That you have to buy the merch
from me.
You don't have to buy anything.
Then she'll sign it for like a
You don't have to buy anything from me. I would be really excited to see any of you.
And you can get a picture for another small fee.
Because I'm less of an asshole now.
I think you deserve $20 for a signature, but all right.
I feel like that is...
How much was Whitley? Was that free?
Of course the signature was free.
Well, he was... One thing I have to say, like, I agree with you, B. Like, some of the stuff that he was saying was a little over the edge for me, but every time I was around him that entire weekend, he was like... he was late for he did the podcast last podcast on the Left Show,
which was basically an episode of Hot Ones from what I've heard.
Which kind of makes me feel bad for him because he's really old and feeble. But then he had an interview right after down in the media room, and I was down there when he came in looking for us. He's like, I am so sorry, I'm late. I'm so sorry. Is it okay? Can we still do it? It wasn't with me. It was with, I think it was with Jason from UAP Studies.
Yeah.
So nice.
But he was, and there were numerous times like that where he was just incredibly graceful and grateful and kind.
He really was.
And generous with his time.
Yeah, these people, I think a lot of folks on the outside, and I would guess Sam certainly to a high degree, Byron, I'm guessing you too. From the outside, it's really easy to say like, oh my God, all of these people are just grifters trying to make a buck, like doing something weird.
I'm fairly aware that they don't make that much money.
Well, like this is a community of really sincere, really kind people for the most part. There are always exceptions to the rule, but it was lovely to be around them. And I do have to do a little bit, one of my high points of the weekend, interviewing Mitch Randall, another
I was going to bring a Mitch,
very legit scientist. Fascinating dude.
We didn't have as much time with him as we did other people, but
we got no, we weren't supposed to.
Well, I think I have 45 minutes of audio, but maybe you guys were just too busy chatting it up.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to because he was going to interview with Ross Coulthart after we were done.
Who's also there.
And he was so enjoying discussing things with Byron and I that he was late to his interview with Ross Coulthart. And that right now is the only claim to any kind of podcasting superiority I have.
Well, and Ross, he's from News Nation, right? Investigative journalist. He gave a keynote speech.
He did give the keynote speech
during the banquet, which was interesting. Pretty good.
Some really good flamenco music at the start.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
I like a flamenco guitar.
I think Ross's speech was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty
great.
good.
The person, Sam, you might have gotten up for a little bit. I was talking to the lady who was next to you.
Yep.
She was really pissed. She did not.
What was she pissed about?
She didn't like that he was talking. She thinks he's
part of the
deep
part
state,
of the
basically.
system. Yeah.
Oh, I missed this, you guys. What was her reasoning?
Well, and this is part of the experiences that I had where I'm like, oh fuck, I don't like being around like all these like.
Open your heart, lead with kindness, Byron.
I was trying, but
this lady was tough.
It was like Dale Gribble if there was no charm. It was just like
I don't know who that is.
From
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
She was like a little loony. Like she was telling me
we moved to Iowa so we could get away from the deep state, man.
That's kind of Well, she told me that her husband is like a high level at a company, I won't say, and that they don't talk to many people because people don't believe the things they do and stuff like that. And I was like, oh fuck,
what are you talking about? And this is not a company that you associate or like would do like
sunglasses.
Yeah.
Oakley.
Well, you didn't need to say it.
Oh, it was a guess. I didn't. I was playing guessing. I was too busy talking to my wine friend.
Yeah, no, she was fine, but it was just kind of this like she was It was almost like she's like an improv actor, like trying to get me to yes and her, and I'm like, I'm not part of that. Like,
you think she was from Second City?
And then immediately she shut down when I like didn't kind of give her the same kind of like.
I'm better at that than you are.
Yeah,
that's why I can talk to people.
I can usually blank slate it, but at this point I was like, Ross is like, I don't even like Ross, and I'm like, he's doing like he wrote a fine speech. Like
it was hard to write.
What do you like about Ross? I like Ross.
Well, I don't like the mainstreaming of stuff that I think is not verifiable. I know, like, well, and I know that, I mean, nothing's really verifiable.
It's verifiable in the sense that the story the person's telling, they have
evidence and
accounts. They have the background that makes sense that they could be telling it. I mean, I don't think he's ever saying, I don't know. Did you read his book? You should read his book.
I didn't read his book.
It's pretty good.
But he kind of reminds me of Pierce Morgan, not just because of an accent.
Don't do that. He's not a Pierce.
Well, it seems like he's in the business of entertainment journalism, which
everybody who's on TV doing journalism
technically,
is
right?
In the business of entertainment journalism.
There was some good people back in the day.
Byron, you're in the business of entertainment.
I'm not really. I don't think I could legally say that I'm a journalist. I don't think that would be safe to say. But like people, I don't know. I miss real journalists. And then
well, you go watch the newsroom, and I agree with you. But I think Ross is doing a good job.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. It was a good speech. It was funny.
It would be really great if he was part of the deep state. I don't think so though.
Sorry, B.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say like he was not. He was very anti-deep state. Like he was saying that the government's like
the establishment.
Yeah.
So I wonder if she's mad because I did hear him talking about like the FBI is apparently doing some good things now, which I only know the fringe details of. Wonder if that's really made her decide, oh yeah, he's in on it.
Yeah. And he's a Ray-Ban guy.
Not. Oh my God,
Shady
that's
Ray.
amazing.
She fucking hates that.
Oh
what were you saying?
Well, I just speaking to the idea that the people that are here are passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite examples, and we had a lovely interview with him, Dean Alioto, whose movie is The Alien Perspective Part 1, and then The Alien Perspective Part 2, which actually premiered at Contact, which was really cool. And it had like a film festival vibe.
Yeah.
And he's someone who's just
Well, and you
does
know
what he...
Dean from the McPherson tapes
Yeah,
as well.
also
UFO abduction.
the McPherson tapes.
McPherson
Yeah,
tapes.
Okay, it was called UFO Abduction second or first?
first, and then
McPherson tapes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so yes,
Great
UFO
film.
Abduction when MUFON thought it was real and then renamed to McPherson tapes.
Dean called it the UFO abduction. Sorry, that was really hot.
No, you're fine. He's just got such a great timbre. I missed it so much.
Dean called it.
What about my timber?
Yours is
UFO
bad.
abduction. But it's kind of, honestly, it felt kind of punk rock. Some of that stuff, like people just doing what they do for no money because they love it, and like not
You're gonna love
caring
my
where it
interview.
goes.
You're gonna love my interview with James Fox for the same reason,
Oh,
because
you-
that's very much
James
what he was
Fox.
talking about. He was talking about digging ditches to try and pay for the money for equipment for his first one.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
of course, James was there. You may have seen him on Joe Rogan if you're that kind of guy. But he's the director of the film that we talked about last time.
Well, he directed The Phenomena, he directed Moment of Contact, and he directed The Program, which is the one I beat Byron over the head with
Yeah,
to watch
yeah.
before we left. I think 2 of them are on Netflix that you can watch. He is very much from a journalist standpoint and has spent a ton of energy, almost a little bit like Knapp and Corbell, trying to gain people's trust who have been screwed over by people so many times, to get their stories out. It's worth listening and watching the things he's done. He's
Are they ever
fascinating.
linked up, you think?
Oh yeah. No, they have.
They're
They have.
buddies? Okay.
I mean, I don't know if they're buddies, but they've certainly interacted.
Interesting.
Yeah. One of my favorite new podcasters, who I don't know if you guys have thoughts on this or not, but he actually isn't that new. He's been doing it a few years, but he's really started to take off. It's Jesse Michels.
Jesse
with
Michels, yeah.
American Alchemy, which still, I'm not sure about that title, but he was...
I wonder where they started. Maybe there was a different idea at the beginning.
Could be like us. Okay. So he did an interview with Richard Dolan, who is one of my top people to see. And it was really great. Jesse's background is history.
A live interview, like
a
a
live
live
interview
podcast.
Yeah.
Really great. Jesse does in person strike me as somebody who, like, maybe the TV show Silicon Valley was based on.
Sure. Yeah.
But he really nice, super smart guy.
He was wearing a big T-shirt like Zuckerberg
That's all he wears.
does.
That's all he does.
Big T-shirt, big hair. Yeah.
Big hair.
Medium hair, let's say.
I did approach him afterwards because he's talked a little bit about Comler on a couple of his videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's got a huge history background. And I wanted to pick his brain about Allentown. We're having a great conversation about it. And then frickin' Dolan came and interrupted us because there's some dude that wants to make a movie with Jesse. And apparently that was
Movie
more
about
important.
what?
I don't know. Yeah.
Huh, interesting. Was Jesse on Rogan too?
Oh, yeah. He
Okay.
was on Rogan the day we came home.
Interesting.
And the day before we left, it was AJ from the Y-Files that was on Rogan.
Yeah.
And his brother Gino was there and was another friend that we met.
Gino goes way back with Rogan, right? That's
Yeah,
how
he like did tons of promotion stuff at the Comedy Store. That was like his
It's a good
place.
interview. I like that one.
He was so much fun. Really good guy. And also the Y-Files has been my daughter's obsession now. So they were very excited. That was the only person that mattered to them. As soon as I met Hecklefish's uncle, I had won as a mom for the weekend.
And didn't he give you a coin?
He gave me a coin.
Did you give it to the girls?
No, I showed it to the girls and then I put it on my memento shelf.
They can't have nice things.
No, they
Well,
can't have nice
you gotta
things.
have 2 of them.
Right. But I think we are going to order some Hecklefish for them because
Very
they do
cool.
love Hecklefish. Yeah, just very, very fun. And I think for me, overall, the experience was like, going to Stanley or the Overlook, and you guys love horror. And I love horror.
Yeah.
But the vibe of those people there was what really made it fun. And this was my version of that. And it was really nice to have you guys there.
Oh, well, yeah, I had a great time as well. I do feel like there's a bit of a barrier to entry at a situation like this.
Oh, for sure.
Where-
You don't just jump into that.
If I go and expose myself to be a normie, say maybe like any of the other journalists that were there,
I don't know that there were normie journalists
There
Yeah,
was
CNN was there.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, but they
NPR
weren't
out of San
there.
Francisco was
They
there.
like dipped into film and then left.
Yeah, it
None
was,
of them were there.
what is his name?
I don't know.
O'Sullivan. Yeah, the guy who he's been actually doing a lot of coverage of Mike Lindell, but he covered the Cyber Symposium.
Oh, you showed me that video because I thought, why the fuck is he covering that?
Yeah, but he's there following Jeremy Corbell. But like, if I was there he's an incredible journalist,
Right,
so
but
he would
he
probably be
wasn't-
asking questions that
He
were
wasn't
good. But
there though. Like what we're talking, he was not part of the conference in
No,
any way, shape,
no,
or
no,
form.
no.
Right. So the rest of the podcasters, whatever we were there, you would have been just fine with.
All right. Well, I had a good time either way. I had a great time meeting Jamie and Ron, and we had a great time watching Last Podcast on the Left together.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. Their set was amazing.
It was a hoot.
If you haven't seen it, it did involve a scale model cardboard reconstruction of the twin trade or the trade towers.
World
and
Trade Center towers.
those are the 9/11 buildings.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it was
And they met with a hilarious end.
well, it's because apparently something had happened the previous year where a guy got up and was doing some presentation about,
Jewish
false
space lasers.
Yeah, and it turned uber anti-Semitic
Yeah.
uber quickly, and that has been a bit of an ongoing joke with them. And so they decided that they would pay homage in a really mocking, lovely way to it. I thought it was great. It was well done.
I really had a great time, and
There's a mystery we need to solve regarding them, though. We need to get to
Oh.
the bottom of this. So a few days before, the Annabelle doll went missing,
yeah.
and then as part of their set,
I mean,
they had an Annabelle doll.
yeah, it feels like
And then the day we came home, the Annabelle doll was returned.
Yeah.
And it really, I want to get to the bottom. Did
I think we're at the bottom.
Henry steal, or maybe Ed?
no,
Marcus?
I don't think we're in the presence of the real Annabelle doll.
You don't think that's
I
what it
don't
was?
think that was it. But Billy
well.
Wayne Davis
Oh my gosh.
was there to do
Does he
stand-up.
tour?
Yeah, I think he does.
We need to keep our eyes peeled.
Really
I'd really love to go
funny,
see him.
really great observations about just how horny the place is, and
It was amazing.
and also one of my favorites was he said the people who were there who weren't there for the conference are really good sports, and I really liked that bit. I thought that was very
Yeah.
funny because
Man, that would be a thing.
oh my god, imagine going there with your kids and that's happening at the same time.
Okay, that would be like a dream come true
Well,
for me.
of course, but
I'm not.
it was great. I had a great time. Closing nights were good. I still went to bed early because
So fucking early.
I just if we were gonna get up at 5 a.m. to leave, I was gonna go to bed at 10.
I went to bed early
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, I went to bed at normal people hours. So
Well, there's honestly, guys, I can safely say there's no one I would rather spend 4 days at Contact in the Desert,
That's not true. You would rather
2
spend 4
hours.
days with Robert at Contact in the Desert.
2 hours in an Uber, and 14 hours in John Wayne International Airport with.
I don't know if there's such thing as a reverse sponsor, but I would like to be a reverse sponsor for Allegiant Airlines and say nobody should ever fly with them.
Yeah, I worked there for 3 years, and I agree it's a bad airline.
The people
fucking
were all
terrible.
great, though. The gate
Yeah.
agents were phenomenal, and
Oh, yeah,
the
very
flight
nice
attendants,
people.
because we had to get on and then off, and the flight
and
attendants
no one
were
wants
really
to do
great.
that.
Yeah, they were.
And the
Everybody was
pilots
great
don't
there.
want to fucking sit on the
Hell
ground.
no.
They want to fly plane. That's what they do.
It's the people
They
in
were
the
chatty
office.
though, talking to each other.
Talking to each other. Mm-hmm. And that felt
Byron
good.
got a picture of it for me.
I got a couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Making sure the
Yeah.
the rehearsal. It was wonderful. Really big, huge thanks to the Contact in the Desert folks for having us, Captain Ron, Jamie, everyone involved.
Thank
really,
you.
Really amazing. And for the next few weeks, we're going to be peppering in some interviews from this.
Yeah, some great conversations. I feel there were times where I felt like I didn't want to barge in too much. I felt like we needed to earn our stripes a little bit. And
Yeah.
now I feel like maybe we've got a couple stripes. So get ready. Next year I'll be even
The
more
hinge is loose.
abrasive.
Kelly's
Just eating hot wings and walking around, butting into conversations.
Yep.
So happy to have Sam as well. This has been a really, it's been a big thing.
Happy to be
It's
here.
great to
Thank
see
you, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks for
but,
having me.
It's been a while, and you are a little unfamiliar with something.
I'm unfamiliar with a lot of things.
I think that this might be a good way to go out.
Oh boy, I cannot wait.
Whoops.
374.
I gotta push that again.
Call 1-833-374-4489 now to share your paranormal encounters and real-life nightmares, or to talk horror with the hosts.
So are you aware that we have a phone number?
He's heard
I
rumors.
did.
Mm-hmm.
I did
You've
know
heard
that.
Allentown. You've heard a couple of comments
love
made
Allentown.
about your wife.
Oh my God, I love Allentown.
So
Comments I make.
I thought it'd be a good way for us to get to leave this episode, and honestly, to enter into Behind the Screams with a little call that we got. This is, it's not the Piano Man.
It's not my new best friend, Jamie?
No, it's not Jamie.
Okay, because Jamie I know Sam already said it, but man, she and Ron and Bree, yeah, masterful. If we ever decide to do a big Camp Frightday, that needs to be
booked by
them.
Yeah. This is not the Piano Man. This is not Allentown. This is, we got a call from someone new. And
is it scary?
Is it scary?
Should I be scared?
Hello, Byron.
Yep, I should.
Hello, Kelly. Hello, Sam. INL3T0 Series 21. Daddy just calls an E-stiletto. You can call an E-stiletto too.
Meet Stiletto. And we will continue this call.
Did she say daddy?
Yeah.
Just calls me Stiletto?
Yeah, there is a daddy, and we'll be talking about that in Behind the Screams. So until next time.
Wait, what?
Yep. What?
Oh, but I get to keep talking about it now.
You're afraid. Yeah.
They don't have to. They have to wait. I don't have to wait.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I love that you got scared that this wouldn't, that I wouldn't finish that call.
Okay, that's the type of thing you would do to me.
I would.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's Stiletto.
This music is so great.
Oh, thanks.
It really is.
I think I played this one. That's nice to hear. Thanks, Sam.
It's lovely.
Appreciate you. Thanks to the people listening. We're going to be jumping back into film as well, by the way. It is June. Happy Moon June to everyone.
June.
Is it real?
The moon?
Yeah, the moon.
We better ask Marc D'Antonio.
Yeah, he'll give you the story.
Yeah. I mean, if you want more of this, go to thefrightdaysociety.org. That's where you can hear the rest of our conversation about Stiletto, our new friend that we got a phone call from. But until then, I'm Byron.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Sam.
Why don't you stay in contact?
Stay in contact, friends.
Mm-hmm. And stay scared.
Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to an Audio Wool original, produced by Byron McCoy. Theme music is provided by D.U.M.b.s. For more programs like this, visit audiowool.co.